She pulled open the door and stopped short. One arm casually resting against the door jamb with his hand dangling in space, Blake Barrett practically filled the open doorway with his wide, squared-off frame. Dressed in an expensive black suit, crisp white button-down and navy blue silk tie, he looked like he'd just stepped out of a fashion magazine featuring men's formal wear. His short blonde hair was neatly styled, his square jaw was clean-shaven, and his clear fern-green eyes stood out, framed by lashes so long they verged on illegal. A deep V creased the space between his brows. "You weren't expecting me." His voice, smooth and buttery like pure sin, rolled over the statement. Michaela's pulse took off at a gallop, and somewhere in the dim recesses of her mind she registered he hadn't posed a question. Mentally, she checked her mouth to be sure it hadn't dropped open like a sprung addict stairway and composed herself. "No, I wasn't, but I'm not complaining. What's going on?" She stood on tiptoe to peer over his shoulder, expecting to see his roommate in the hallway, but she couldn't see past the broad man in front of her. He rolled his eyes to the ceiling as if praying for patience and ran a big hand over his smooth jaw. Leveling those eyes back on her, he let out a long sigh. "So Owen didn't tell you he couldn't make it and that he'd asked me to fill in for him?" Words were beyond her grasp at the moment, whether from the shock of this new development or the mouth-watering man in front of her she couldn't say, and she shook her head vigorously. He muttered what she thought were a few colorful curses under his breath. "Shit, I am so sorry. He led me to believe he was supposed to get a hold of you last week, right after the Miller's party, and let you know he couldn't make it. He must have forgotten." "But apparently you could, and he strong-armed you into it." His mouth tipped up in a cute smirk, sending ripples of tingly star stuff through her body. "Trust me, it didn't take much." "Oh, how nice." Her hammering heart lifted a few inches. "So you're okay with taking me?" She fought to keep the desperate hope from her tone. He straightened, and though she wore 4-inch heels, he towered over her. "No, I always deliver bad news dressed in formal wear." "I wouldn't call this bad news." She must have looked all kinds of confused because the next words out of his mouth were, "That was a joke." His smile bloomed, brilliant white. "I'm more than okay with taking you. The real question is, are you okay with me subbing for Owen tonight?" She bit back the, "Oh my God, yes, I wanted you in the first place," tap dancing on the tip of her tongue, instead managing a demure, "Yes, I can live with that. Thank you." His big shoulders relaxed, and her mind leapt to hoping there would be dancing tonight so she'd have an excuse to run her hands all over their hard angles.